which is the term for the strength of the active ingredient or active pharmaceutical ingredient in a medication. So this is what will actually work on the patient. And then we have the percent strength, which is a representation of the number of grams of active ingredient contained in 100 mLs. Okay. In the case of solids, such as ointments, percent strength represents the number of grams of active ingredient contained in 100 grams as opposed to mLs. Percent strength can be reduced to a fraction or to a decimal. It is always best to convert any ratio into a percentage. And we've done that on the basic portion of math. There are three types of concentration problems. Okay, there's three types of concentration problems. The first type of concentration problem is the weight per weight, abbreviated as W per W. Okay, now what this represents is we have grams over grams. Grams over grams, pretty much what we're saying here. So it's like you are baking a cake and you're adding sugar to the flour, solid over a solid. This is another way we can say it, solid over solid, weight over weight. So this is, we have the amount of active ingredient, and this is placed over the total amount. Total amount of mixture, of compound or mixture, of what we're adding together. And this then is multiplied by 100 to give me my percent strength. Now the next type of problem, very similar. Formula is pretty much is the same. All three of them use the same formula. And this is when we have weight over volume, weight per volume. Or we can say that this is a solid over a liquid, or grams over mLs. So in this case, we have the amount of active ingredient. I'm going to just say AI for active ingredient. But this is grams. So this portion here is grams. And then that's divided again over the total. And that total is going to be in mLs. I'm going to put this up here for this one because this is grams. And this is grams too. This is grams and this is grams. Okay, now this is also multiplied out. And then this is multiplied times 100 to give you the percent strength. And then finally, the last one is volume per volume, or V per V, which is where you have a liquid over a liquid. And this is mLs over mLs. So this is like you saying, I bought coffee, the coffee is too strong, let me add some water to it. So this is the amount of active ingredient, and this is measured in mLs. Over the amount of over the total amount, which is also in mLs, times 100 gives us our percent. Okay. So keep in mind these formulas. It's the same thing. In general, it's just active ingredient over total times 100 gives us percent strength. So let's look at a problem. The first problem we're going to look at is a weight per weight problem. It doesn't always tell you it's a weight per weight, but you can figure out by the units of measure. So 1 gram of active ingredient powder is mixed with 99 grams of white petrolatum. Petrolatum is a base, so it has no effect on the individual. What is the final concentration, weight per weight? So it's asking, what is the percent strength? The way they can ask you is, what is the percent strength? What is the final concentration? They can use those type of words. So let's look at the formula. We have, again, I always recommend students writing the formula when they are working on a problem. So this is amount of active ingredient over total times 100%. What is my amount of active ingredient here? 1 gram of active ingredient is mixed with, so keywords I want you to keep in mind, keywords that tell you exactly what to do, which is to add or not. Mixed with, combined with, added to, or added with. Sometimes you might see all of these words, but it says mixed with to total. Let's say mixed with, combined, and added to total. And I'll show you an example of that. So when we're mixing this, If you mix 1 penny with 99 pennies, how many pennies do you have? 100 pennies. That's what you're doing here. And this we're multiplying times 100 because we want to find the percent. So 1 times 100 is 100, and 100 times 1 is just 100. So 100 over 100 is equal to 1%. So this compound or this mixture has a 1% strength. That's how strong the medication is. Let's look at another one here. We have the compound that says 1.2 grams of active ingredient powder is in a 120 grams compounded cream. What is the concentration weight per weight? So again, we're trying to find the percent strength. So for this problem, we're going to do exactly the same thing as we did before. However, with this problem, we got to look at like some rules of grammar. So compounded means it's been made. And these words here says is in. So 1.2 grams of active ingredient, okay, active ingredient is in a 120 grams compounded cream. So my total is 120, not 121.2. It's already in there. This is my total. So this is telling me that this compounded cream, which is this amount, this is the total of the cream, has this amount in there already in it. So I don't need to add it. Again, we multiply times 100. So that's 120 over 120. And this is equal to 1% as well. Okay, so we got to keep in mind these types of keywords. Mixed with is in. Let's look at another one. And I'll give this one to Ina. So 30 grams of a compounded ointment contains 105 grams, milligrams of neomycin sulfate. What is the final concentration weight per weight? Ina, I'll give you that one. I'll give this one to Pamela. If you add 3 grams of salicylic acid to 97 grams of an ointment base, what is the final concentration weight per weight of the product? Pamela, and everyone should work on them as well. Here we have how much oxyconazole nitrate ointment, powder is required to prepare the following order. So the Rx that you have to make is 1% oxyconazole nitrate ointment. Okay, that's what you have to make. 1% oxyconazole nitrate ointment. The doctor says to dispense 45 grams. So you need to find out how much is there of the active ingredient, pretty much. And I'll give this one to Ria. And if you're stuck, it's okay. Just let me know. And we'll work on it together.
So,
Yeah.
So we have to convert 30 gram to milligram, or it's okay?
So in this case, we leave this one. What we do have to convert, though, is this to grams, because the units of measure that we use in these preparations are always grams and mLs. So if it's not in grams or mLs, we have to convert them to grams and mLs.
Okay,
Yep.
so 30 over 105 multiply.
So let's look at this for a minute. The 30 grams is the compounded ointment. That's what's already made. So people typically do that. It's because they see this to be the smaller number, but forget to convert this. When you convert this to grams, this is 0.105 grams. That's a much smaller amount. So this is neomycin sulfate is the active ingredient. So it's 0.105 grams over 30
over
grams.
30.
Yes. Remember, it says 30 grams of a compounded ointment contains, this already has this in it, contains. I know it's the tiny difference, right?
No. Equal 100.
100. So now we have 105 over 30.
Go.
Sorry,
3.
I'm sorry, it's 10.5 over 30, not 105.
Yeah,
10.5 over 10.5 over 30 is 315. That's 315. 0.105 over 30 times 100. I'm doing something here wrong. So it's 0.105, 0.105 over 30 times 100 gives me 0.35. 0.35, 0.35 percent. Yeah, 10.5 or the same, 10.5 over 30 still gives you the same. Questions on this one? Pamela, you stuck?
No, I
Okay.
think we got it.
Okay. How about
So
Rhea? You wanna do it, Pamela? You're done?
no, I wait.
Give you some more time?
I'm done.
Okay, so let's go. Tell me what you did.
All right, so 3 grams over 97 grams, and then times 100, it gives me equal to 300 and 9,700 over 9,700.
300 over 9,700 or just 97?
9,700.
Where'd you get this from?
Because it's multiplied by 100.
I'm only multiplying the top numbers. Remember, we multiply fractions. Okay. But even before that, what is the error she made here, Anna? You're muted. You're muted, Anna.
So you add 97 to 3, that's 100. So 3 out of 100 is 3%.
Yes, so you need to add the salicylic acid with the ointment base. Remember, if you add 3 grams to 97, you have 100 grams. Times 100, that gives me 300 over 100, which is 3%. You see that, Pamela?
I saw it. I thought it was too simple, so I thought maybe something else do it.
Many students say that it's too easy. I didn't think it was that. It was too easy. And believe it or not, when you think it's too easy, that's the right answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, a lot of students. So people, not just you, but over the years, I always hear this thing. I thought it was too easy, and I didn't think it was that. But yes.
Yeah, it was too good to be true. So.
How about Rhea? Stuck? You got your answer?
I'm stuck, Professor, to be honest.
Okay, somebody wanna use a lifeline? Anybody wanna give her a hand? So Rhea, what's the formula? Tell me the formula.
Active ingredient.
Right.
Divided by total.
By total.
Times 100.
Times 100.
Equals the percentage.
It was your percentage. Okay, tell me what you do have here. What does the problem give you?
So I have the total 45 grams.
You have the total 45 grams. Good.
And I have the percentage 1%.
And you have the percentage 1%. What else do you have? Let me just remove these units here. What else do you have?
Times 100.
Times 100. So what are you missing?
The active.
The active ingredient. That's what you're missing, right? Okay, so now let's solve. Let's multiply across. This times this. This times this is 100 times x. Let's say it's 100x, right? So 100 AI. And 45 times 1 is just 45. And this is equal to 1. Now we have a proportion. We make this 1 into a fraction. So we can cross multiply. When we cross multiply, we have 45 equals to 100 AI. Divide both sides by 100. AI is equal to 0.45. And what would be the unit of measure?
Gram.
Grams. Great. So you're going to add 45 grams to that to this ointment base, and then that will give you the 1% cream. Okay, so this is the long way of doing it. Long way. The short way is simpler. Whenever you are given the percentage and you are told, well, this amount already, you multiply the two of them together. Okay, just multiply these two together. Multiply them. So 1% times 45 is equal to 0.45 grams. If you turn this into a decimal, which the calculator will do for you, once you type in that percent symbol, it'll give you that, and then just multiply that. Okay. So it's like saying the shoes cost $45, but you get 1% off. How much are you getting off the shoes? 45 cents off. That's it. Not a big discount, but that's pretty much it. Let's do two more. How much fluorouracil powder is in 5% Effudex cream, 25 grams? Anna.
Mm,
And then for Christina, 3 grams of Zovirax ointment contains 150 milligrams of acyclovir. What is the concentration of this product?
So mine is 1.25 grams.
So Anna says 1.25 grams.
Mhm.
And you did that by doing what?
By doing what? By multiplying 25 times 5 and dividing it by 100.
25 times 5%, which is also by 100. Okay, which is the same as saying 0.05 times 25. That's another way of doing it. Okay, what she said was 25 times 5 is equal to whatever answer they get here over 100, which is the same thing. And that is 1.25 grams. What about you, Christina? So yours is very similar to the one Ina did, the first one she did. What do I see here that kind of stands out that I need to correct or change? Christina.
The gram.
What about it?
Um,
Not so much the grams, but the milligrams. So we need to convert this 115 to milligrams. So scoop, scoop, scoop. To the left, we have 0.15 grams. So we have 0.15 grams, which is the active ingredient. We're going to divide this by the total. 3 grams of
3.
Zovirac ointment contains 3 grams total.
Total
Times
times 100.
So this gives us 15 over 3,
300. It's 5.
5% strength. Zovirax, anybody know what Zovirax is for?
For chicken pox.
Chickenpox, herpes, yes. Okay. Questions on this? So this is all weight per weight problems. The next ones we're going to work on are weight per volume problems. Now, the weight per volume problems has a trick to it, and it's much easier than the previous ones. The volume will always be your total. The volume will always be your total. If you're drinking coffee and you add sugar, which is a solid, to the coffee, what happens to that sugar in the coffee?
It dissolves.
It dissolves, correct. It dissolves. So it doesn't really alter the final volume. So 100 grams of active ingredient powder is mixed with 500 mLs normal saline. What is the final concentration, weight per volume? So again, in this case, all we're doing is taking the 100 grams of active ingredient and dividing it over the 500 mLs of the total. Even though the keywords here says mixed, you are physically mixing it, but it's not altering the final volume. Times 100 is equal to 10,000 over 500, which is equal to 20%. These are the much simpler of the two. Okay, let's do this one here. 25 grams of active ingredient powder is mixed with 250 mLs of distilled water. What is the final percentage strength, weight per volume of this? I'll give this one to Anna. I'll give this one to Ina. 9 grams of sodium chloride is diluted in 1 liter of sterile water for injection, otherwise known as SWFI, pronounced Swiffy. What is the final percent strength, weight per volume? Ina.
So, Ina, so 1 liter, we know it's 1000 milliliter.
Okay.
So 9 over 1000 milliliter
Mm-hmm.
multiply 100.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be 900 equal 1000,
Mm-hmm.
0.9%.
Great. So you just made normal saline,
Yeah.
which is a isotonic suspension that is used for IVs. You just made that. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Anna?
All right, so I multiply 100 times 25, and I
Okay.
divided it by 250, and I got 10% as the result.
10%?
Mhm.
Okay, that's it.
I have a question, Pamela.
Yeah,
So on Ina's problem, isn't it 1,000 milliliters times 110,000?
no, here you're confusing this portion here. Remember when we multiply fractions, 1/2 times 2/3? We
Mhm.
multiply the top like this. You're confusing 1/2. 1/2 is equal to, let's say, x over 4. Here we cross multiply. We're not cross multiplying because there's no equal sign in between. So we're multiplying the 9 times 100, and we can make this, we can put the 1 in there. It's not necessary, but we can put it in there to help you remember. We have the multiplication symbol in between those two fractions. So remember, any whole number could be 1 million, can be made into a fraction, an improper fraction, by simply placing a 1 under it. So when I put the 1 here, 1,000 times 1 is 100. I'm multiplying 9 times 100, but not the 1,000 times 100. I'm not multiplying like this. I'm not doing that.
I see.
Okay. Like in
Yes.
this one, the same thing. This times this,
Yes.
and this times this. Notice that here Anna didn't multiply the 250 times 100. She only multiplied the 25 times 100.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on now to, let's do one more here for Rhea. Melanex solution contains 0.9 grams of hydroquinone in every 1 ounce bottle. What is the final percent strength? Rhea. And here for Christina, Rogaine extra strength is a 5% solution of minoxidil in alcohol. How much active ingredient is in a 60 ml bottle? Christina.
I think mine is 3%.
3%? Okay. Tell me what you did.
So 1 ounce is equal to 30 milliliters.
Good.
So 0.9 over 30 milliliters
Mhm.
times 100
Great.
equals 3%.
3%. That's it. What about Christina? Tell me what you do. You're muted.
5% times 100.
Where do you get 100 from?
Oh, okay.
You don't need to multiply times 100. You can multiply, you just multiply times the
Multiply
total,
the total.
which is 60.
Is
Yeah.
3
Times 60 is equal to 3%.
3%.
Okay. That's it. So remember that shortcut, okay? Great. So that was weight per volume. The next one we're going to do is volume per volume. Okay, and this is when you're adding the milk or the water to your coffee or the creamer, so it's not so strong. So we have 10 mLs of active ingredient is mixed with distilled water to total 200 mLs. What is the final concentration? Volume per volume. Okay, so in this case, again, it does say to mix, so we got to watch out for these keywords. It does say the active ingredient is mixed with the distilled water, but it totals 200. So even though it says this mixed with, once it's already mixed, it's going to total 200. So 10 mLs over 200 is times 100 gives me 1,000 over 200. So that gives me 5%. 5%. Pamela, this one's for you. 180 mLs of active ingredient is added to 820 mLs of an alcohol-based solution. What is the final strength? Anna, 36 mLs of benzoin tincture is combined with 84 mLs of an 80% alcohol solution. What is the final strength? Brea, how many mLs of active ingredient must be added to distilled water to produce 60 mLs of a 25% solution? I said Rhea, right? Yeah, okay.
I think I got mine. Let's see.
Okay.
So
Shoot.
it's 180 over 820, right?
Over, what does it say here?
Added
Yes.
is 820.
So how much is that when you add the two of them together?
So you add them 820, yeah.
Plus the 180
Mm.
times 100 gives you
18,000.
yes over 1,000. We can get rid of these three zeros, these three zeros, and this equals to 18%. What did you
Okay.
get? Something
No,
less,
I guess,
right?
yeah,
17
yeah,
point something.
yes.
Yeah. So be careful because that choice could be on the test because you set it up incorrectly. You say,
Yeah,
oh, that's what I got. So that must be the answer. So remember the key words, but remember when there you have to combine or add and when not to. Like in this one here, it says it's mixed with, which is the same as saying you add them together, or it's the same as saying that you combine them. But even though I mixed them, combined them, or added them together, when I did that, it already says two total. That means that your total is this. Okay. In this case, the 820 is not the total because it didn't say that. You see the difference, Pamela?
yes, but I'm just a little confused.
Well, which part are you confused on?
I'm confused where you said that you add the 180 and the 820, which it makes 1,000, right?
Yes, yes.
And then you put it over. So what is the first numbers that you put on top of the 1,000?
It's always the active ingredient.
Yeah,
And
but
180,
a 180.
180
Okay.
is the active ingredient. Remember, the formula is always this: active ingredient over total times 100 gives you percent strength. That's the formula. Active ingredient, 180 mLs of active ingredient is added to 120 mLs of an alcohol-based solution. It's just a base. So I got coffee and I got milk or water. That's what it's doing here. Two liquids are being added together.
Okay. Write that down.
Christina, you understanding? Or are you lost?
I'm just wondering where did the 1,000 ml coming from?
So the one,
From 180 from over 1,000 ml.
because 180 added to 820 gives me 1,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
it's saying it's added. So when we says that, we have to add them together. And why didn't I add it up here in the problem above? Because it says, even though these two are added, this is mixed with the distilled water. When it's mixed with the distilled water, it totals 200. This way I didn't have to do it 10 mLs over 210 because the total is 200, not 210. See the difference on that too, on those two problems? What about, who's the other one I called? Anna? Are you stuck on the 80%, right? What do you do with the 80%?
No, I actually got past that. I'm trying to figure out the first of it. Yeah, so with the 80%, let me see, 36 milliliters. All right, so 84 milliliters should equal 67.2%.
84 mLs of an 80%, is that what you're saying? Equals to this?
Yeah.
Okay.
In
So
84 milliliters, we should have that. But then when you add up 84 to 36, it doesn't give you 100, but it gives you 120.
okay, so 120 mLs. How much is your active ingredient?
36 milliliters.
36 mLs times 100 gives you your percent strength. What do I do with this 80%? Nothing, because it's a base. it doesn't really influence the final percentage. It could be 70, it could be 100, it doesn't matter. This is being used as a base, so that 80% is not considered in the problem.
Okay.
So the rest you would do the same like you did. 36 benzoin tincture, which is the active ingredient, over your total because you are combining the benzoin plus the alcohol solution. And that's 120, like you said, times 100.
30.
30%. Okay, that's it. What about Rhea?
I got 15 milliliters.
15 mLs. What did you do?
I multiplied the percentage and the total amount.
Good. That's all you got to do. And that's going to give you 15 mLs. Good. All right. So this is concentrations. And we're going to be using concentrations in the next phase, which is the dilutions, and the next portion, which is allegations. So now let's continue with dilutions. A diluent is a substance used to dilute or make less strong another substance. In pharmacy, we have stock solutions or product or stock. I won't say solutions, or I won't say products either, because I'm going to use products in another way later, or stock ingredients. We have stock ingredients, which are very strong or very concentrated or have a high percentage, okay? That you can dilute to the strength ordered or desired by the doctor on the prescription. The larger the volume you mix with the stock solution is called the diluent. Okay, so let's look at this formula. The formula for diluting something is the following. We have Q1. Before I even do that, before I even show you the formula, let me just show you what these letters mean. So Q stands for quantity, okay, which is measured in grams or mLs. And then C stands for concentration, measured in percentage. Now let's look at this. We have Q1, which is your initial amount, and this is a low amount, okay? But this would be the lower amount. And again, measured in grams or mLs. The C2 is your initial concentration, which is the higher percentage. Then you add your diluent, and then you get your Q2, which is the final amount of product. So this is my product, which is a higher amount because I've added something to it. I've added the diluent, so higher amount. And then C2 is my final concentration, which is the lower percentage because I added something to it. I made it less strong. So have you ever had Cuban coffee? Very small
Teacher.
amount. Yeah.
Yeah, the second C should be C1, right?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
C1. Thank you. C1, Q1, C1, Q2, C2, yes. So Cuban coffee is very small. It's about this amount, but it's super, super strong. It'll keep you up for like 2 weeks if you take it. So it's something that Ina maybe could be in use right
Yeah.
now. You want some Cuban coffee? So it keeps you up. I know you're 6 hours away. I know. We're almost done, okay? It's very strong, but people say, I can't drink this. It's too hard on my stomach. So they'll add some water to it or add some milk and then make it less strong, but now they'll have more coffee. So the formula, once again, Q1 times C1 is equal to Q2 times C2. Okay, that's the formula. I'm going to use some colors here to help you guide you. So we have Q1, Q1, C1, C1, Q2, Q2, and let's use this orange, C2, C2. Okay, let's look at a problem now. How much stock solution of hydrogen peroxide, 12% solution, will you need to make 480 mLs of hydrogen peroxide, 3% solution? Okay, so that's the problem. Problem is this: how much do I need to make? So let's break it down a bit. What is my Q1 here? What is my Q1 here?
Sorry.
So Q1 should be the initial amount. By the way, initial is also called the stock. So in this case, how much is the stock solution initial? So that's what we're finding out. How much of it, of hydrogen peroxide, will you need to make? So what is my C2? C2 is the higher percentage. We have two percentages, 12% and 3%. So C1 is my 12%. My Q2 is my product, what I make, my final amount. It says to make, I'm going to make this 480 mLs. This is my Q2. This is how much stock is my Q1. And then my C1. And then finally, my C2. C2, which is 3%. So when we put all of this together into the formula, we have X times 12 is equal to 480 times 3%. So C2, Q2, C1 times Q1. Okay, that's what we're doing here. So now when we solve this, we have 12x is equal to 1440. 480 times 3. Yeah, 1440. Divide both sides by 12. This cancels out, and x is equal to 120 mLs. So my initial amount, which is also equal to my Q1, my initial amount is 120 mLs. Now, how much diluent did I add? How much was added in order for me to make this lower? So in order for me to find this out, I'm going to take Q2 minus my Q1. And that will give me my diluent, D, diluent. So what is my Q2? Well, my Q2 in this case is 480 mLs. And then my Q1, what I started out with is 120 mLs. And when I subtract those two together, 480 minus 120 is 360 mLs diluent. So I added 360 mLs to 120 to give me 480. And I reduced that from a 12% to a 3%. I also want you to analyze this. They won't ask you this, but I want you to analyze this. 120 mLs over 480 mLs is a quarter, correct? If I take 3% out of 12% is also a quarter. So the reduction in percentage is proportional to the amount. That's what I want you to notice here. This is more of like analytical math, not so much for you to have to answer on the test. They won't ask you that. But notice that they're both proportional. It's a quarter of it. Okay, let's look at another problem. You had 60 grams of a 20% coal tar solution, which you diluted to produce 100 grams. What is the strength of the final product? So you won't always be asked to solve for Q1. You'll be asked to solve for any of those others elements, okay? But you'll have to be given 3 out of 4. So in this case, Anna solved this one. If you dilute it, and I'll give this one to Ina, 90 mLs of an 80% benzocaine lotion to 6%, how much could you produce? Ina? How much of a 10% solution will you need to produce 150 mLs of a 6% solution? Pamela. How much? 500 micrograms per ml prostaglandin solution is needed to prepare 10 cc of prostaglandin 20 micrograms per ml solution. Ria.
So I think mine is 12%.
12%. Okay. And tell me what you did. So Q1 C1 is equal to Q2 C2. What is your Q1?
All right, so my Q1 is 60,
Yes.
Q1 is 20,
Yes.
and Q2 is 100,
Yes.
and then the other one is unknown.
Unknown. Correct. So this is 100x. This is
Yeah.
1200. Divide both by 100. This cancels out, and x is equal to 12%, which is what we're looking for. It says we need to find out the strength of that. By the way, I removed, when I multiply this, I removed the units. The reason is it's much easier to work with without the units and just add the units at the end. Because if you take the percentage of that number, you're going to get decimals. It's going to get complicated. So it's best if you just use the whole numbers and not convert. Just forget the units and add the units at the end.
So, you know,
Yeah, you know,
so Q1 is 90 milliliter.
90 mLs.
Yeah.
Mhm,
C1 is 80 and
mhm.
C2 is 6%.
C2 is 6%.
So Q2,
So Q2 is X.
we don't X. Yeah.
Yeah, it says how much could you produce? Your product is going to be what you produce. So that's 6X, 720,000,
20
7,200.
over 6.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be
120,
20. Yeah, 120
120 what? What's the unit?
percent.
How much could you produce? You already have percentage.
Milliliters.
Yes, 120 mLs. Great. Be careful because you can have 120% in there as a choice and that can confuse you.
Yeah.
So maybe, you know, this is something that
I have to.
you can put very small here, the units, but just don't consider
Yeah.
them as a subscript. And this way, you know that once you get your value for X, if X is C2, C1, Q1, or Q2, then you just add the value.
Yeah.
Pamela,
I'm still working on it.
okay. Miss Rhea, hint, hint. Previous unit, which was concentrations, it has to do with this. Did you catch that? But remember
Not
the
really.
units. Okay. If you can do it, it's fine. If not, I'll show you all.
Can you walk me through mine, please? I'm
Okay.
just
So
Good.
let's do the first thing first. Let's do formula. Tell me the formula.
Q1 and then Q. Yeah, I'm sorry, where is it? Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Q1 times C1 equals Q2 to times C2.
Great. Okay. Let's knock out what's obvious here. What is obvious here? Percentages. So we know that the constant, remember the Cuban coffee is very strong when you first get it. So we know that C1 is concentration is your higher percentage. So that's 10. So the other one is 6. Great. How much of a 10%? So this how much is related to the 10%. Will you need to produce 150 of a 6? So this 150 is related to the 6%. You know, Spanish people, when they get married, they say, Pamela Garcia of Linares, let's say, if you got married to me. In their country, in Latin American countries, they say you become of. It's like a possession. You become their possession. So it's kind of like that. This is the possession, this percentage of this 150 and vice versa. So they belong to each other. So how much could you produce would be my final. So this is my 150. So the only thing remaining is the X. Is that how you set it up or no?
Yes, I was trying to do that, but again, it's just a little confusing.
Okay, so we got this set up fine. So now this is 10X is equal to 150 times 6. How much is that?
750? No.
900.
900, okay.
So divide both sides by 10. X is equal to 90.
Nine,
90 what? What is the
90.
unit?
Milliliters.
Good, 90
Point.
mLs. We're trying to find quantity. Remember, quantity is measured in grams or mLs. Okay, let's look at this one here. This one here, and I said, look at the concentrations portion that we just did earlier. Here you have a weight per volume, weight per volume. You're saying, but I'm missing the percentages. You're not missing the percentages. We can find the percentage by using weight per volume. We just learned that. However, you note that we need to use grams or mLs. This is not in grams, this is in micrograms. So kilograms, grams, milligrams, and micrograms. So we have 500 micrograms that needs to be converted to grams. So we're moving six places to the left. So I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's my decimal, empty scoops, fill them with zeros. So now this becomes 0.0005 grams over 1 ml times 100. This gives me 0.05%. So now we know that this is equal to 0.05%. And this is the same thing, but this is 20. But let's just do it. This is micrograms. Again, kilograms, grams, milligrams, and micrograms. So we got 20 micrograms, and we're going to move 6 places to the left. So here's 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's my decimal, 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so now this becomes 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 2 over 1 times 100. This becomes 0.002%. So now we know that this is 0.0002%. Okay. So now let's read the problem. How much 0.05% prostaglandin solution is needed to prepare 10 cc's, which is the same as 10 mLs of prostaglandin 0.002%. So we're going from 0.05 to 0.0002%. Same thing. Q1, C1, Q2, C2. How much of this? I don't know. But I know it's 0.05%, 0.05%. And I know I'm going to make 10 mLs of that at 0.0002%. Okay. So 0.05x is equal to 0.002. Divide both sides by 0.05, 0.05. This cancels out, and x is equal to 0.04 mLs. Am I right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with this amount, and I'm going to add enough diluent. So 10 minus 0.04, which is 9.96 diluent. So the diluent is added to this amount. This plus this gives me this final. This is what I produce. And it makes sense. That's a lot of diluent to make something to be very low in strength. Very, very low in strength. Now, some ways you can be shown the strength of a product is through percentages, through the weight per volume, or the ratios. The ratios. If it's already in percentage, you just leave it. You don't need to do anything. If it's in a weight per volume, like here and here, you need to convert this to percentage. If it's a ratio, you need to convert to a percentage. Okay, always convert to a percentage, always. Questions? No questions?
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, I must be very good then. You understood it first go. All right. So let's leave it here since you all had a midterm and it's like 6 hours away, 2 o'clock somewhere in the other side of the world. Taylor Swift concert on Sunday, MetLife Arena, in case you're interested. I'm not going, but it's there. The answers on the quiz, I'll have to grade some of those manually because it's very case or space or word sensitive. So even though you think, oh, I got it right, why did they mark me wrong? Don't worry, I'm gonna go in there and grade them, okay? Otherwise,
Don't see my test.
don't look at yours. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
Okay, we have enough chances to bring that up, okay? Don't worry.
yeah.
When are you coming back?
After a week.
In a week?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got enough time to bring your grade up to
Sure.
better.
They were so easy. I don't know why.
sleepy. 6 hours away.
Yeah, I was sleeping. I forgot that I had class.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I will see you all on next Thursday. Take care. I'll
Okay.
stick around if you have a question, but if not, then you're all free to go.
Well, good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Good
Have a
night,
good
ladies.
night.
Good night,
Bye.
Professor.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I actually have a question, but
Anna.
it has nothing to do with the class though. So if they,
Okay.
want to just leave, it's fine.
Let me pause.